Good afternoon. My name is Officer Ivan Ramos, spelled I-V-A-N, last name R-A-M-O-S. I'm joined by Detective Reynaldo Adame, R-E-Y-N-A-L-D-O, last name Adame, A-D-A-M-E, with the University of Texas at Austin Police Department. The University of Texas at Austin Police Department brought conclusion to the investigation of a shooting incident that took place on July 13, 2024, near the Moody Center at 2001 Robert Dedman Drive. On July 13, 2024, UTPD, alongside the Austin Police Department and the Texas Department of Public Safety, responded to reports of gunshots in the area. No injuries were reported, but surveillance footage captured a gunman firing randomly into a crowd of people near the venue. The suspect fled the scene and was not located. Officers collected bullet cartridge casings and submitted them into the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network, or NIBIN, a federal program that examines and cross-references ballistic evidence across jurisdictions. UTPD investigators leveraged the network of exterior cameras and to establish that the suspect traveled extensively on campus by foot prior to the shooting. Investigators were able to produce reliable images of the suspect that were later disseminated through the Capital Area Crime Stoppers. Actionable investigative leads obtained from the NIBIN and suspect images showed a connection between the Moody Center shooter and an aggravated assault that occurred in May 20 of 2024, being investigated by the Austin Police Department. The related incident involved the suspect shooting a gun at people in a parking lot. On December of 2024, an APD homicide investigation ultimately determined the two cases were connected to the murder of Mario Damian Reyes. On March 13, 2025, the Austin Police Department notified UTPD investigators that they had located and arrested the suspect, Juan Carlos Rodriguez Gomez, and executed a search warrant on his residence. During the execution of the warrant, the clothing worn by the suspect on the day of the Moody Center shooting was found concealed inside the residence. A firearm and ammunition were also discovered. Gomez now faces charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, a second-degree felony for his act of violence committed on campus. Now, Detective Adame is going to show a quick video of what occurred.
So this is a video just showing of the suspect that we have. He's walking down here on a berm. As you can see, he's wearing the clothing, which is a gray sweatshirt and also a black JanSport backpack. There's victims that are walking across the sidewalk. As you can see, he reaches into the Jensen backpack. And this is where he discharges his firearm into that berm, and there's also projectiles that hit that building and also a golf cart that are there. It misses our victims that are there, but it shows the random shooting here. I'm going to hand it over to Detective Billy Pena.
All right, good afternoon. I'm Detective Israel Pena. That's I-S-R-A-E-L for the first name, P-I-N-A for the last name. I'm the lead investigator for homicide number 2470. That's the 70th homicide investigated by APD in the year 2024. This is documented under case number 24-361361. The victim in this case is a Mario Damian Reyes, 34 years old, and the suspect who is arrested, Juan Carlos Rodriguez Gomez, is a 26-year-old. This incident occurred December 21st, 2024 at approximately 9:25 p.m. at 2504 Huntwick Drive here in Austin, Texas. On that date, at that time, Austin 911 received multiple calls of shots fired in the area, as well as a person who had been shot inside a vehicle. APD officers Kirchberg and Alvarez arrived on scene and located the victim inside the vehicle with obvious trauma to his body, consistent with gunshot wounds. Mr. Rias was removed from the vehicle. Life-saving efforts were attempted, but he was ultimately pronounced deceased at 9:32 p.m. by Dr. Escott. APD homicide units and crime scene units were notified and responded directly to the scene, and the investigation had begun. During the investigation, we seized multiple items of evidence to include fire cartridge cases, which were ultimately entered into the NIBIN system, as discussed earlier. We also obtained, a little bit later in the investigation, some video of the shooting and of the suspect arriving on scene. On December 22nd, so the day after, we had received information that the NIBIN's links, we confirmed some NIBIN's links between our cartridge cases and two other investigations currently being conducted. One being the aggravated assault case investigated by APD, which occurred on May 26, 2024, off the 6700 block of Loyola Lane. The other being the UTPD aggravated assault case from July 13, 2024. Using this information, I immediately contacted UTPD to discuss their case with them and see what evidence that they were able to recover and generate. They provided me with video that Detective Adame had gone through. I don't know how long it took him to go through, a long time of video. He identified a suspect, tracked his movements throughout campus, and he was able to provide me with a very, very clear picture of their suspect. I compared that picture with the suspect from our video, and they appeared to be the same person involved. That with the NIBIN link, we were pretty confident that that person was responsible for both offenses. I requested UTPD to allow us to release their video, their picture, image of the suspect, since it was a daytime image and it was a little more clear than our image was. After receiving permission, we put that out to the media that day. That resulted in a tip through Capital Area Crime Stoppers identifying the suspect as Juan Carlos Rodriguez Gomez. Once I received the name, I started looking through our involvement as well as other agencies' involvement with this subject, and identified several residences or previous addresses for Mr. Rodriguez Gomez in the area around where the homicide occurred, some of them being within just a block, one of them also being within that same complex. On the 15th of February, I located a close associate of Mr. Rodriguez Gomez and brought them in for an interview. They did not know what the interview was about. During that interview, I provided them with the picture from the UTPD video still, and they immediately identified the subject in that still as Juan Carlos Rodriguez Gomez. So that was our second confirmation on that suspect. That collectively, with the evidence gathered at the time, I issued an arrest warrant for Mr. Rodriguez Gomez on February 16th, 2025. And I passed that off to the Austin Police Department Tactical Intelligence Unit. That's our fugitive apprehension arm responsible for the research and apprehension of all of our violent offenders. On February 13th, 2025, APD TAC Intel located Mr. Rodriguez Gomez on a property out in Manor on Sparks Run Road. And along with the Lone Star Fugitive Task Force, APD Air 1, K9, and our Crime Gun Intelligence Unit, they attempted to arrest Mr. Rodriguez Gomez at his residence. Upon making contact, Mr. Rodriguez Gomez fled out of the back of the residence and evaded capture for approximately 30 minutes, to include swimming across a small body of water. And eventually he was ultimately placed in custody by those units. A search warrant was conducted on his residence, and during that search warrant we located several items related to not just our homicide but the UTPD campus shooting, as well as a burglary that occurred February 14th, 2024, investigated by the Austin Police Department. Those items were concealed in a small vent inside the suspect's bedroom. Mr. Rodriguez Gomez was transported to APD Maine for debrief. He provided no additional details into the case and just strong denials. Additional charges may be pending based off any connections we can put with any other cases that we are currently investigating. And that's all I have. Any other questions? Oh, I'm sorry, one more thing. I just want to highlight just the collaborative effort between all our agencies. Obviously, the biggest one being UTPD. Our ability to call them and them share case information. They provided us with our first and best lead on a suspect. The video images were crucial, and I applaud Detective Adame for the efforts he went through and just marking those videos, making it easy for me to find. Also, the units, the apprehension units, our APD tactical intelligence units, we would not have the success rate that we have in our unit without that particular unit to go and find our suspects, and not just find them, but do the research and workups on them to locate them when they are hard to find. Mr. Gomez had a very, very small footprint for us to follow when it came to trying to track him down, and our intelligence unit, our TAC Intel units were really good at finding the little bits of information and ultimately leading to his arrest. Any questions?
Can you verify the date of the warrant being issued and the actual arrest?
Yes, February 16th, 2025 was the warrant issue date, and the arrest date was March 13th, 2025.
Do we have a motive on what happened with the homicide and why was he on the UT campus during the shooting? Such a Carter.
Right, so for ours, up to this point, we cannot find any connection other than residence proximity with the suspect. He didn't provide any information during debrief, and robbery was kind of ruled out because we didn't have, there were certain items of value that were still on scene. So we just don't know. Unless Mr. Rodriguez comes forward and tells us what his motive was, we really have no idea.
Do you know how much is the bond that he needs to pay?
Our bond is at $1 million. And I'm sorry, so you had a backup question for UTPD as well?
Yeah,
Yes.
just why do you think he was on the UT campus?
So as Detective Pena said, it was connected to the shell casings. It was totally random. There was no connection to our actual victims we interviewed him, and there was no connection to the suspect, so we think it was a random as well.
Any other questions at all?
You guys say
Any social media info on
He does have social.
Rodriguez?
He does have social media. We're looking into that for any other information he can provide.
separate case, but can you say anything about what happened with the Tesla incident yesterday?
I cannot comment on that.
Do you know if he has any mental problems?
I do not. We kind of asked him about that, but he didn't provide any information or any diagnosis. It's not something I would discuss.
Any other questions?
no previous arrests or run-ins with APD that you're aware of, sir?
He does have previous arrests with us. We're looking back at those cases again to see if how those charges were handled and if additional charges are going to be filed for any cases that are open and still under investigation.
And some in Bastrop County as well, right? Warrants or something?
Yes, he did have some warrants out of Bastrop that he was also arrested for during during his apprehension for our homicide.
And do you know what those are related to?
I'm not going to speak on Bastrop's case. If you could reach out to them, I'm sure they'd be happy to discuss it with you.
Thank you.
Any info on the firearm, background, who it belongs to?
So, that brings up another good point. The firearm we did test, it did not come back to our homicide or the UTVD campus shooting. So there is the suspect firearm that's still out there. Another request to the public, if you've had contact with this individual, you've received a firearm from him or bought a firearm from him, we'd like to take a look at that. We would like to locate that firearm for sure. Yes, ma'am.
How is going to be his process, knowing that he is an immigrant? he's not legally here in the United States. How are you going to manage that if it's with ICE or with another authority?
So during our entire investigation, because of his small footprint, you know, very limited social media addresses, things like that, phone records, we weren't even sure of his immigration status. I heard something in the media about his immigration status. I don't know. Again, that in itself is kind of transparent for APD. You know, we want to solve the murder, right? After that, he's in the judicial system, and how it's handled is just it's transparent to us. We just file the charges, conduct the investigation.
We have one more question. There is something. Awesome. Thanks, y'all.
All right.
Thank you for watching. Please hit the subscribe button and get the latest news by downloading the CBS Austin News app.